Welcome to Sisters in Service podcast. Most of you know me as a strong advocate for women veterans in being recognized not only as veterans, but also as women who are changing the world through our passion of serving, even after service. This podcast is my passion by telling all the stories of military brats, military spouses, active duty, and veterans, not to forget the veteran service organizations that help us along our transition journey. I want to thank you in advance for listening. I hope that you will join me every week. A new podcast and episode comes out every Tuesday, so I hope that you will join and I hope that you enjoy. This podcast is brought to you by Small Space Pilates. Are you ready to get fit and fabulous from the comfort of your own home? Look no further than Small Space Pilates. With live online Pilates and strength training classes, a video library, and a no perfection allowed policy, you can achieve your fitness goals without ever leaving your house. Click on the link for your complimentary week and start your journey to feeling fabulous today. Welcome everyone to our latest episode of Sisters in Service. You know me, I'm Kat Corchado, and I'm super excited today because I have as my guest, Beth H Macy. I know you don't know her, but you will. She is a multifaceted talent who is also an author of the Moscow Nights series, but she is also a military veteran, Navy, and she served right after the Vietnam War, which is what intrigued me a lot. Okay. However, that's not all she does. She has supported many as a licensed mental health counselor. She's also been a personal trainer. She's an author. She does all the things. Beth, welcome to Sisters in Service.
Oh, thank you, Kat. It's wonderful to be here.
Well, I was super intrigued by the fact that I don't get to talk to a lot of veterans, specifically women who served like either during the Vietnam War, which I'm super interested in, and a little bit after, which is when you actually went into the military. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, Beth, here's my question that I ask all veterans. Did you pick the Navy or did the Navy pick you?
Well, actually, the Navy was my second choice. My father was an airline pilot, so I actually wanted to go into the Air Force. But at that time, the quotas were full, and the Navy still had room. So I guess in a way we picked each other, so I went into the Navy. I liked their uniform, so why not?
I almost went into the Navy. I tell people this all the time. I love the Navy dress whites.
Yes, aren't they beautiful? Yeah.
And the recruiter, he says to me, they hardly ever wear those. And I said, well, what's their regular uniform? And he showed me. I was like, oh, no, that's not going to work for me. Because I grew up in the 70s with like bell bottoms and everything. I'm like, no, we're not doing that again. So my father was Air Force, I was born into the military. And so I said, well, let me just go in the Air Force because that's what I know best. So
yeah, I learned after I went into the Navy that my grandfather had served in the Navy. So,
oh, wow. Well, see there, it's in your blood. It's in your blood. Beth, what was it about serving in the military that just made you say, I want to do this? And the reason I'm asking is that during that time, a lot of people had a bad taste in their mouth about the Vietnam War. And I remember, because my dad had to go to Vietnam, and I remember vividly watching on TV as Vietnam veterans who were actually, as they're coming home, people were spitting on them.
They were.
Which would make anybody not want to go in the military. What was your why for going in at that point in time?
See, well, I grew up in a without much money in a seaside city, New Bedford. But I didn't see many opportunities. I had trained as a math teacher in college, but I didn't want to teach math. So I had friends who were going cross country and backpacking around, or going to Australia to be teachers, and I wanted to do something responsible. And I'm very patriotic, so I thought I'll go into the service, and join the Navy, see the world. It's not just a job; it's an adventure, right?
It's an event.
Um,
I remember that.
Remember that? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Hook, line, and sinker. There I went, right? So, and yes, my friends were pretty amazed because I had protested against the Vietnam War, trying to help bring our guys home, because I had friends who had been sent over there, and one of my friends came back pretty damaged emotionally and mentally, and years later actually committed suicide.
Mm,
So it really was very traumatic for a lot of those veterans.
I bet. Did you say you grew up in New Bedford, Mass?
Yes, I did. Yes.
My husband grew up and we lived in Dartmouth, Massachusetts.
I lived in Dartmouth too. After New Bedford, then we went to Dartmouth. Yeah, I went to Dartmouth
He
High
was
School.
actually born in New Bedford, I believe.
I was too.
Small world, right? Small world.
Very small world. That's amazing. Yeah.
So when you went in, Beth, what were your expectations, and did the Navy meet those expectations?
Oh, well, have you ever seen, there's a Goldie Hawn movie where she goes into, I think it's the army, and she looks and she goes, "Where's the condos?" Right?
Yeah,
Her
right.
expectations were so far off. Well, I did expect that I would get trained in something useful, and that I'd come out with whatever skills there were and be able to use them on the outside. And the first part of my experience of the Navy, for the first couple of years, I did hush hush stuff that is exempt from general declassification. So it didn't really train me. You go to get a job and they say, "What do you do?" And I said, I can't tell you or I'll have to kill you. And they don't really like that.
That's what my husband says all the time. He was in intelligence in the military. And even now he's like, "Oh, I worked that." And I was like, "Oh, what was it like?" He goes, "I'll have to kill you." And if I was like, "Come on,
Yeah.
seriously?"
Yeah, yeah. And then I wanted to stay in that, but they sent me to Newport, Rhode Island, 15 minutes from where I grew up in New Bedford, right, to teach math at the Naval Academy Prep School. And boom, blow your mind, right? It's like,
Yeah,
oh no, no, that's not why I joined.
right.
So yes and no. I mean, the thing that I never will regret having gone in, because I grew up so quickly. In fact, when I came back and I saw friends I had left behind, they were years behind where I was. It
Mhm.
really did teach me a lot about how to carry myself, how to take care of things, how to lead people. So I'll never regret going in. I was proud of my service.
Right. Were there a lot of women at that point? I mean,
Oh
because
no.
you know how you go into anything, and you look for people like you. You look for, "Oh,
Mhm.
there's another female over there." Was that, I mean, was that rare to find another woman, or
Oh,
another woman, or were you more, was it so male dominated that you just had to hold your own?
it was very male dominated. I think there was a very, very small percentage of the military at that time that were women in the military. When I trained overseas, I was training actually with a woman, and there were three or four males that trained before us. And they were given an oral board at the end to pass, and all four passed it within a half hour. This woman and I were given our oral board, and after 4 hours, they flunked us. Not because we did anything wrong, but because one of us giggled. Because it was so ridiculous after 4 hours. So, I mean, really, come off it, right? Um, So
Oh my.
yeah, and I was really depressed afterwards, and they were going to retest us in another week, which obviously showed we weren't deficient in knowledge.
Mhm.
And this British military guy Simon came up to me and he said, "Beth, we've never had this conversation. Do you understand?" I said, "Yes, I do, Simon." He said, "You as a female will have to outperform any male by at least 3 or 4 times." He said, "And so you're going to go into that next board and you're going to pretend you have a sharp rock in your shoe and it hurts like hell. And
Mhm.
there's no way you're going to smile. There's no way that you're going to giggle. You're going to be very serious." And I was. I mean, we went through another four
Mhm.
hours. And, you've got all these guys muttering with fans going. It's like, really? Come off it.
Yeah.
But we passed. And Simon's words really stuck with me is the fact that, yeah, you really had to show your stuff. That women weren't respected at all, in at least where I was. And it was one time we had these guys that used to sit and watch the day shift come in because I had the night shift, and they would sit and they go, "Oh, well, she got some last night," whenever they saw a female walk in. And
No.
so finally, I took a chair and I plopped it back right next to them. And I sat there with them drinking my coffee. And I went, "Oh, I think he got some last night." Well,
I love that.
that that broke them up. They never did
Mhm.
it again. At least when I was there.
I just think it's a shame that, because even when I was in the military, there were women who they had to be very stern, very almost, I would say male like, but they had to have this I'm a woman, but you can't break me type of, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Demeanor. And I think it's so sad that because I feel like we can still be women, but still lead.
yeah.
Even,
It took me years to break that,
yeah,
because you did. You had to be tough as nails. Except I wasn't with my people.
right.
I treated them with respect. I treated, and I actually had one guy that he was enlisted, and he wouldn't salute any officer. It didn't matter, male or
Oh,
female.
I didn't know that was a
And
choice. I'm sorry.
oh yeah, he would drop his books or whatever he was holding and be scrambling on the ground
Oh,
trying to pick stuff up.
okay.
He had avoidance techniques, down like anything, right? So I one day went and I knelt down beside him and I said, "I've observed you and I see that you're avoiding saluting officers. I just want to know why. I'm not going to write you up or anything." He said, "I've never met one that I could respect." And the day I left that base, he stood there and he saluted me,
Oh, wow.
which is
That's
just like
yeah.
better than any medal on your chest, right?
Right? It makes you feel good. I think what's interesting is that even when I came in, so I came in active duty March of 1980. So I came in under the
Hmm.
delayed enlistment as a single
Okay.
parent. And
Wow.
apparently the Air Force had stopped it, I believe, in January of 1980. Of you could still get in as a single parent, but you have to have all the things, right? You have to have all
Yep.
the power of attorneys and all this other thing. And so I'm in basic training and it's like, "Do you have any dependents?" I'm like, "Yes, blah, blah, blah." And so my training instructor calls me in and he goes, "How did you go in as a single parent?" I go, "I don't know. Y'all let me in. I did the paperwork in November." He goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay." And I believe I was one of the last single parents to get in the military at that point. But
Wow.
the other thing is that even going on active duty, single parents had the the concept of single parenthood was, "Oh, I'm never going to be there. My child's always sick. I can't do my job. I can't, all these things." So they had this certain expectation. So I had to not only be in a male dominated career field as maybe one, most of the time there were two, but sometimes a lot of times there was only me, on top
Hmm.
of the fact of dealing with this stereotype of single parents are lazy, single parents can't do their job, etc. So I had
Yep.
to prove above and beyond that I could do the job, so that when my child really was sick, they were like, okay, let her go. She's cool.
Yeah.
she's got
Yeah.
everything done. So I find it that there's still these stereotypes that people have across the board, across all services,
Yeah.
about women in general, single parents, whatever it is. And we came out on the other side, Beth. I'm just going to say, we did pretty good because we're here to talk about it. How tough are we? Right?
I'll tell you.
I'm
Yeah.
just putting it out
Huh?
there. So you did 4 years in the Navy, correct?
I did 5 actually,
5 years. Okay.
because there was some Iranian dust up or
Mhm.
something at towards the
So they
end, and
stopped all people getting out of the
they
military.
stopped all people getting out of the military. I'm like, no, please, I'm ready to go.
Mhm.
Um, but
So you
yeah,
get out of the service, and transition used to be this dirty word that people only whispered in certain circles. Okay. No one ever talked about it in active duty. Every
mhm,
now and then, some guy who had retired or gotten out, he'd come back in the squadron, with this, civilian attire on. And I'm going, why is he here? I don't
yeah,
understand. You're out, you can do whatever you want, and you're here. I get it now, because there's this camaraderie. And after you get out, you're straddling two worlds. You're not quite in the military world anymore, but you're not quite in the civilian world anymore. How was your transition getting out? Were you prepared for it? Were you unprepared? Was it
uh,
horrific? And can you
it,
explain to our audience what it was like for you, especially at that time in the um, late 70s, early 80s?
yeah. I thought first of all I'd prepare for my transition by going back for my master's in mathematics at Bridgewater State College. And that sort of fell apart when I showed up one day in uniform because I was in a rush and I couldn't change. And they jeered me, they spit at me, they threw food at me. Don't
Oh
walk
my
through the cafeteria
gosh.
during that time frame in uniform. And called me a baby killer, and I was just appalled at this attitude. And I had been so used to just being in the military with military people around me. You
Right.
have that complete support system. They're your family, right?
Exactly.
If you're a little short before payday, someone's going to help you out.
Help you
You
out,
need another,
exactly.
yeah.
Well, you were all in
So
the same boat, no one had money 3 days before payday, you
that's
know?
right. That's right. Yeah. So, bum cigarettes off of somebody. Hey, thanks.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
But and also shortly before I left, I knew I was going to be in a little bit of trouble mentally because I went with a friend to a concert and we were in civilian clothes and we went to this concert and we just sat there looking at the people going into the concert because it was fascinating. They all had different clothes on, right? They had different length hair,
You're
right?
like, "Oh
They were
my."
different sizes. I was like, oh my, this is different because you're
This is
so used to
different. I know.
yeah. Just, and 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 then one day you're in and before I got out they this friend of mine said I got to brief you on this before you lose your security system because it's so cool. And I'm
Right.
like, okay. So he tells me all this stuff and then he says, okay, now I have to take your clearance, right? And I was like, okay. And so one day I was here and the next day I'm like out.
Right.
And
Oh my
and
goodness.
it's like, what do you do? So um my teeth were having problems. When I was in the military, they had a lot of new dentists who were playing with dentistry, right?
Mhm.
And so they always had me in the dentist chair. And one dentist drilled into the side of my mouth and said, "Oops." I had never heard that one before. Don't.
Oh
And then at the end, he
my.
said, "Don't eat for 3 days." So my teeth were pretty much a mess when I got out. So
Right.
one guy said, "Go to the VA." Oh, the VA, that's a resource. Great. I spent 2 days wandering around the VA campus trying to find someone who would help me, with the tooth problem. And I got sit in the brown chair, sit in the orange chair, sit in this. I'm very obedient. Okay, by now I'll sit in the
Okay, I
brown
know.
chairs. I'll sit right. I got it. What color chairs do you want me in? I'm there, right?
Just tell me
Um,
where to go.
tell me where to go. And it's just I never got because somebody said you can get a dental chip. Well, there's no such thing as a dental chip apparently, or at least I never got one. Um,
Right.
so I was like, that was like, well, VA care. I don't know how to use it, I guess, or whatever. It's hopeless. Didn't help me. So I was just out as a civilian with, you don't have a parachute, right? You're just out
Right.
there,
You're free falling.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
hoping you
And
land somewhere soft.
yeah, yeah. And so I got a job, but
Mhm.
I decided, well, I'll go into high tech. Oh, well, first I tried teaching and that wasn't what I wanted to do. And then I decided to go into high tech and Raytheon kicked me out of their job fair saying I wasn't even qualified to be in their job fair. So it's like, okay, well, I thought you were friendly to the service. So I guess not,
Right.
right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah. And
That still happens, by the way.
oh my God. And so I finally got hired as a computer room supervisor
Mhm.
at a place that used to make programmable controllers for industry by a very short man who was insecure and would hire women. So, yay.
I,
But it was good.
it,
Like,
yeah, it's really interesting because a lot of people feel kind of trepidation about getting out of the military. I was ready. After 20 years, I was like, I'm done. Let's
oh,
go. Got my little DD 214. I'm
yep.
prancing out the door. I'm expecting, I always tell people I wanted balloons and music and bands and organizations say, here's a contract, throwing contracts at me. Because who wouldn't want a communications project manager with 20 years of experience?
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
great, right?
Sounds great.
Nobody wanted. I couldn't get a how are you? What I got a lot was nothing or you're overqualified. I got that a lot.
Mm,
And then you go into the free fall and you're just kind of like, what is this hot crap? You know? And I'd always kept one foot in the fitness industry because I needed
mhm.
extra money because everyone knows we make so much money in the military and I thought, I went to my husband and I said, I think I really want to see if this fitness thing will work out. And he was like, okay, let's do it. And I've been doing it ever since. But I want to kind of segue into feeling invisible
Mhm,
because this is something that women, even today, getting out of the military, still feel.
mhm.
And you see it on TV. Like whenever there's a veterans holiday, I am looking at the TV hard because I want to see female
Mhm.
faces. I want to hear a female voice. You know what I see? I see men. I
Yep.
love my veteran brothers. I do,
Yep.
but I serve too.
Yep.
And it's so maddening to me. We have a supermarket here that has veteran parking. And if I tell you that I have been confronted by people not who have not served, by the way, telling me I shouldn't be parking there. Why am I parking there with my husband's car?
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh.
And you know
Ah.
how when you're right about something, you have this sense of like, I don't want to say superiority, but you're right. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yep.
And so, people said, oh, I'm going to call the cops. I'm like, okay, when they get here, just tell them I'm in the supermarket shopping.
Good for you.
I don't e- I
Good for
don't
you.
even I don't even play into it because at first it makes you angry. It makes you very
Yep.
angry. And then you're kind of like, wait, I don't have anything to prove because you know what? Even on my license plate, it says North Carolina Air Force veteran retired. So,
Nice.
I wanted to see if the cops ever showed up because I don't know if they did. I want to see the look on the person's face when he goes, you didn't look at the license plate, did you? But there's also this feeling of we're not seen. How
Mhm.
did that feel
Mhm.
for you after you got out? You got the job, but you still did you feel this sense of isolation and invisibility?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because I had this whole life that I really couldn't discuss with anyone. And after showing up at the campus and finding I was so hated, I just hid it. I was like, okay, fine. I'm not going to, it didn't help me at all with getting a job.
No.
Right. So for years, I, I just put it, I stamped it down, and I would look at things like oh yay, veterans lunch for Veterans Day type of thing, and there'd be all these guys that would be going,
Yes.
and none of the guys seemed to treat or even recognize the female veterans, and that was hard. No one until my most recent running group, who I adore, no one really thought anything of it. Okay, that was a weird thing that Beth did. So
Right.
I felt I felt almost guilty, which is wrong, but it was like I definitely felt less than, that I didn't
Yes.
feel that I could claim the title of veteran even after 5 years of being, well, it's only 5 years, okay, just take that
Oh,
5 years
that's
of your life
sad. Yeah.
and put it off. And so it really wasn't until maybe about 6 years ago
Mhm.
now, that I was walking into my local hardware store, and this a guy who looked like he was probably a hippie in the Vietnam War who protested against it, that era, right?
Yeah.
He came walking up to me, and immediately. I tensed,
Mhm.
uh-oh, what's this guy want? And he looked at me, he said, "Thank you for your service." And I had heard that so much from people telling people, because we were starting to embrace the military, and I thought, oh, mean it, come on, mean it. And I knew this guy meant it.
Yeah.
That and
It's not just this
I
kind of,
well,
"Oh,
no,
thank you for your service,"
thank you for your service, thank you for your service. No, he
Yeah.
sincerely, and I started crying. I
Oh,
just
wow.
started crying.
Yeah.
And all I could think of is, how did you know? And a friend of mine had persuaded me to get veteran plates for my car.
Nice. Yeah.
And I said, "That's your car, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You're a veteran, right?" I said, "Yeah." Still, like,
You're like,
my
"You you know
yeah,
me? You know who I
yeah,
am?"
yeah. My brain is just trying to, absorb this.
Yeah.
So now I park proudly in
Yes.
veteran parking spots.
I do
Before that, I
too.
was like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to use that.
No, my
I'll leave it to the.
husband's like that. He goes, "Oh, I don't wanna park there." I go, "Honey, it doesn't say disabled veteran. It doesn't I mean, it says
Yeah,
veteran. You can I
veteran.
park there every time it's open, and when someone's
Yep.
parked there, I have the audacity to get mad because I'm like, "Who's parked
That's
in
my
this spot?
that's my
They better
spot.
be a veteran. They better be a veteran." Well, I will
Yeah.
say that, when I got out in 2000, I was actually told by the transition team I was not eligible to go to the VA at all because I
Wow.
was getting TRICARE because I was retiree. I never went. I just recently signed up to be a part of the VA just recently. And,
Wow.
it's we come out, and if we're not near an Air Force base or any base, you feel like
Hmm.
the isolation I feel like is even more
Yep.
because you're around all of these civilians. No, we're not, we don't just go, "Hey, I'm a veteran. Hi,"
Yeah.
we kind of keep it under wraps. And I remember we were in Boston when 9/11 happened. And my husband and I were going to a supermarket, and everyone had these little flags on their car to show their support. Right. And
Hmm.
so I'm getting ready to walk into the supermarket, and the guy says, "Would you like to buy a flag?" And I said, "No, thank you." And he goes, "What have you done for your country?" And I whipped around and said, "I did 20 years for my country." And I walked in the store, right? And my
Yeah.
husband was with me. He goes, "What did that guy say to you?" And I told him, I said, "Do you think we need to have a flag?" He goes, "We don't have anything to prove. We've proven
Yes.
it by wearing the uniform."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, yeah," but it still felt bad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
You still feel this sense of invisibility, but you don't know how to come out of it. And
Hmm.
I think that when we are seen on TV more, we're seen in print more, we're seen in other places, billboards. I don't even know if they do billboards anymore, but seeing more female veterans, I think is going to help that. But I'm with you. When we first moved to North Carolina, I went to a veteran networking event, and there were probably 3 other women there.
Hmm.
And so you got all the guys over here and 3 women over here chatting it up together. And I thought, this sucks. It really sucks. I think I think it's better now. I feel as
I,
far as for women getting out. But I think it's either feast or famine. When I got out, there was LinkedIn and a resume. And
mhm.
now it's like ordering. If you've ever gone to the supermarket and looked in the bread aisle and you just go, I don't know what kind of bread I want.
Yeah.
So many to choose from. You just gotta go, that one looks good. I think staying connected is very huge now, which is what you and I didn't have coming out because there was nothing to connect to. There may have been, I didn't know, and you probably didn't know,
I did.
because
I
they
didn't
didn't
know.
tell us. Yeah.
And as you say, when you're not living in a community like Norfolk, Virginia, or someplace where
Mhm,
there's a large amount of veterans who have gotten out
mhm,
there, people don't really understand. And there's a road race that I love to run. I've run it now for I think the past 5 years, and
mhm.
it raises money for veterans, and which is fantastic.
Yes.
And it at the beginning has anyone who is in the service or a veteran to remain standing, and everyone else to sit down or kneel. And it's just, I mean, that's so emotional. And to
Mhm,
look around, the first 3 years I was the only female,
mhm.
and now there's one other female last year and this year, but there's also only about 5 other guys that do this race. So we're
Right.
clearly in the minority there
Mhm.
overall. And then there's
But
not that.
you guys are the trailblazers for others,
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
they
I
see
hope
you.
so.
Seriously, we have to start somewhere. I wanted to piggyback on what you said when people say thank you for your service, which I think is, if you have time, that's okay to say. But I even say this to other veterans. I say to other veterans, thank you for wearing the uniform.
Mm,
Because
mm,
when someone civilian says that to me, that tells me that they understand the
hmm.
sacrifice. Thank
Yeah.
you for your service. It's kind of like, okay.
Thank you
I'm not saying it's
thank you for
bad.
bringing me my plate of food,
Yeah.
Um,
But I
yeah.
think, when you say thank you for wearing the uniform, it just
Yeah.
means a lot. It
Oh,
really
yes.
does. And I've even had civilians say, well, what do you say to someone who's a veteran? I'm a person. What do you say to someone who just moved next door to you? Oh, where'd you move from? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. You just ask a veteran about where they were stationed. Ask them about their service. What branch did they serve? Did they like it? We love to talk about our service. We're not just going to bull all over you about it.
Yeah.
But I think people just have this whole perception of, I don't know, like we have this glass wall in front of us or something. Like they're like, I don't know what to say. And I'm just like, okay, we'll
I
get to that
almost
later.
compare it to if someone has had a death in the family, you don't know, you sort of, or, a serious
Mhm.
illness, you don't know what to say, right? Well,
Yeah.
they treat us almost the same way of, oh, we
Yeah.
don't know how to deal with this. Deal with us with curiosity as you would with any other
Yeah,
human being.
absolutely. I find that kids are more apt to ask great questions
Yeah.
than
Yeah. Kids
adults.
are great that way.
Kids,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's move on to your book, your
Hmm.
series. Did this whole military, active duty, veteran, invisibility, all of that have something to do with your series of books coming out?
Well, I think in a way it did. My books encompass so much of me. It's fantastic, but they do embrace the military part and bring bits and pieces
Mhm.
forward in different ways. So and I proudly say I'm a veteran in the little bio that's on the book.
Right.
So
Is
I
it
think
fiction or nonfiction?
they're all fiction.
Oh,
And,
nice.
whenever we write fiction, though, we
Mhm.
sort of things seep in, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, I had always wanted to write. They're Russian spy novels, and I had always wanted to write uh, a Russian spy novel.
Mhm.
And I was coming again, transitions, right? I was coming towards the end of my work in high tech, and starting to look at a transition out there. And then the pandemic came and I couldn't travel anymore. And so it was like, oh, well, time to use that spare time to
Mhm.
write the great American novel. And then novel one finished, but novel two was there, and novel two finished, but novel three was there. And they were just like,
Oh, wow, they're multiplying.
yeah, these characters wouldn't let go. It was like,
Yeah,
okay, fine, let's just
yeah,
keep on rolling. So,
I love
um,
that. Do you have any advice for women getting out of the military today? And the one thing that I like to tell women all the time is, one, stay connected prior to you getting out. And number two, I always ask women veterans, if you could not use the word veteran, military service, or active duty, who describe who you are to me.
mm. Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing to struggle with, right?
Mhm.
Because we're so identified we're wearing that uniform proudly. We're so
Exactly. And that's
identified
why
with
I
what we
asked that
do.
question. Yes.
And so who are you under the uniform, right? Who
Mhm.
and I think we miss all of those wonderful skills that we've acquired. But how do
Mhm.
you describe them when everyone else around you understands it and
Mhm.
gets it when you're in the military? Well, how would you describe it to someone from another planet? Because
Right.
really,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what you're doing. You're coming
Yeah,
in, they don't speak your
yeah.
language.
It's almost like an alternate universe, right? It's like the people look the same, they're speaking English, but they don't understand why you did what you did, why you wore the
Mhm,
uniform, why it's so
mhm.
hard you were, because you think, oh, I was a civilian before, I can civilian again, it shouldn't
Yeah,
be that hard. But you've become such a different person.
yeah,
And so when you go back, and I've asked this question of, especially of women who come from small towns, and they think that that small town is their whole universe, and they go in the military. And I said, do you feel as though you outgrew the town
yeah,
and or the people, and maybe even your friends, because of your experience in the military?
yeah. And I really felt that. And
Mhm.
I think the one thing to embrace is it's okay, right?
Yes.
It's okay to have outgrown where you were because your experiences were broadened you
Mhm.
in so many ways and deepened you. In the military, you learn a different language, right?
Yes.
You learn a whole different culture, and when you come out, you're no longer the same person. And
Mhm.
I think people who try to just go be that same person
They
again,
can't.
because
There's
you
no way.
can't, you
Right.
can't. You're not, but to know that's okay.
Yes. A couple more questions before we end.
Yep.
Being visible is, women veterans are more out there now, especially with social media, the help of, being, you know, on social media, women veterans and veterans in general starting their own businesses. So there's been more of a contribution from women who have been in the military. And so there's this shift. And how do you feel about this shift about women being? I kind of know your answer, but um, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about us coming out, so to speak?
you know it's wonderful. I even just me being on your show, I got to tell you, this feels so good inside to speak
Mhm.
to another female veteran.
Doesn't it
My
though?
Oh, it really does. My military
Yes.
buddy, that I've kept in touch with is way out on the West Coast.
Mhm.
And we don't speak that often, but when we do, there is such a connection.
Connection. Yeah.
Um, and to be heard and recognized is
Absolutely.
it's
It feels so
wonderful.
good when someone recognizes your service, doesn't it? It's just,
Yeah.
it just feels. One more story. I'm in the same
Yep.
supermarket in the same parking lot, and there's a woman parked next to me, and I had my window down. I was looking at my phone. She yells across. She goes, "Thank you for your service." And it was another female. I was like, "Oh my God." I was so excited that they noticed, because it
Yeah.
doesn't happen a lot. If it happened all the time,
Yeah.
you'd be like, yeah, whatever. I mean, okay, I wouldn't
Yeah.
probably say
Yeah.
whatever, but
Yeah.
it just feels so good. So, future projects, Beth, what's coming up for you? More books, a movie,
Yes.
Netflix? What are we
Well,
doing?
I do think my books would make a great movie. So if anyone knows how to get connected there, I'd love that. But book number 4 is at the editors right now.
Mhm.
So hopefully that will be coming out later this year. I also come from a family of artists, and I do oil painting. And so I have a solo show coming up in September that I'm almost ready for. Um, so
Multifaceted,
um,
man. I love it.
and then I still run around. I'm starting this week. I train my running group with personal
Mhm.
training. I've done a lot of stuff. I like to do stuff pro bono for women.
Mhm.
And my running group is a whole group of women, and it's like I'm a certified personal trainer. Why shouldn't I give an hour a week to you guys?
Right?
um,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm a videographer. I'm not active in that right now, but I
Mhm.
used to do little videos for females' websites when they were starting their business,
Mhm.
because a lot of times they didn't have the money to go get a videographer
Yeah.
to have, and you have to
Mhm.
have video on your website. So I
Yes.
would do that for free for them. So I don't know what else is going to come. This is
I
a
think you're
great
kind of
stage of
busy. I'm
life.
just gonna say you're kind of busy. I'm like, Beth, can you do one more thing? Beth, where can people find your books?
Oh yes, they're actually, for those who like Amazon. They're on Amazon. You can look for Moscow Nights Return, or you can do Beth H. The H is important, the middle initial H, Macy, because there is
Mhm.
another really good writer from down south, Beth Macy.
Oh,
I think she's
wow.
from Roanoke, Virginia.
Mhm.
All the Macys are related, so she's probably a long distance
She's probably a
cousin or
long
whatever.
distance relative.
Yeah, yeah. So they're on Amazon. They're
Mhm.
on Walmart online. They're on
Mhm.
Apple. They're on this place called Ingram Sparks.
Okay.
If you want hard copies, so you can usually find them Barnes and Nobles. You
Mhm.
can usually find them somewhere. Just to Google either Beth H Macy Moscow Nights Return. It'll get you there.
Mhm. Beth, what's the best way for people to reach out to you if they want you for future projects, maybe other podcasts, etc.?
Uh, yeah, there's 2 ways. One, I have bethmacy.com as a website.
Mhm.
And there's a link there to email me. That also links off to all the rest of my websites: the personal training one, the artist one, the books,
To
etc.
hear all
Um,
her websites.
yeah, all my
I love
websites.
it.
Um, and they can also, if they want to drop me an email at info@bethmacy.com. It will get to me.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Well, Beth, thank you so much for being a guest today. For all our listeners, I hope you listened. And Beth does a lot of things, but the one thing I want you to understand is that we have to reinvent who we are after we come out of this service. We get to be anybody, not just sergeant, lieutenant, captain, colonel, whatever. We get to be someone else. And that's the fun part, is figuring out who you want to be after your military service. And Beth has definitely done that. She's many things. You heard her, she's doing all the things, because why not? life is short. Go out there and do you. Do something that scares the